Hi everybody, welcome back to concept number 2. We're going to have 2 different parts on this one just to kind of split it up for you guys so you're not watching quite so much. So this video is going to be entitled Week 1. This is our video number 1 for our B concept for the week. So if you follow along on our structure, this is going to be helping you guys with practice problem set number 3 on Khan Academy, which is once again just going to be 4 practice problems just to practice this concept. So we are going to keep going with our trig ratios. If you remember, our trig ratios are going to be sine, which is opposite leg divided by the hypotenuse. Cosine of an angle is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent of an angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. So this particular video is going to be solving for an angle in a right triangle using our 3 trig ratios. So this time we're missing an angle. We're not missing a side. I will let you know that my dog is with us here. Hang on, let me show you. He is Russie. And he is very obsessed with these squirrels. So hopefully he will not disrupt us too much, but the squirrels outside are getting a little crazy. And I'm gonna kind of have to yell at him. All right, so here we go. This time I'm going to do two examples with you, and then you're going to try the practice problems. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully this is going great for you guys. If it's not, I really need you to reach out to us. Email is probably best, just to let us know what you need as we kind of all figure this out together. So, all right, we need ourselves a right triangle. That's the first thing we need. So again, I'm going to draw a right triangle. I know Khan Academy does a great job of like making them a little bit different, but you know how I feel about drawing things. Let's see, we're going to be missing this angle. We're going to have one of the legs be 7. The hypotenuse is going to be 9. Remember, I know that's the hypotenuse because my right angle is staring right at it. And let's see, if I call this triangle AMY, then I'm going to be looking for this missing angle. I can't remember what they do. I think they're going to use something kind of funky, like maybe I'll call it alpha. So little Greek letter A. So this time we're missing an angle. Okay, well, wait a minute. So we have 2 sides, though. We know 2 sides. We can probably figure out that angle. So let's use this angle to figure out which pieces we have. Remember, our options are opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse. This is what we're trying to figure out. All right, well, compared with this angle here, I'll mark it with my highlighter, like I always do, because I am not the greatest at spatial reasoning. Here's my angle. All right, well, what pieces do I have keeping these 3 in mind? Well, remember, look at that 7. That 7 is all the way on the opposite side of our triangle. I'm going to give that a little O. And we already talked about the 9. The 9 is adjacent. It is right next to that angle. But remember, hypotenuse always wins. So the 9 is always going to be represented as our hypotenuse. So if I'm looking at an O and an H, I know that I'm going to be looking at the sine of that angle. All right, so now it's time to set it up. So we know sine of the angle. Wait, we don't know what that angle is. You could use an A. You could use the little alpha. I'm going to use the little alpha just in case that's what they do. I might do something different next time. So I'm looking for the sine of that angle. I don't know what that angle is, but I do know that the opposite is 7 and the hypotenuse is 9. Okay, so this time the thing that we're missing is the unknown is my angle. Well, how am I going to get my angle all by itself? What is currently attached to my angle is this entire trig ratio, this entire trig expression. Well, how do we undo? Well, usually my students say, well, let's divide by sign. Okay, fair enough. Not quite how that works. So in order to undo something, remember, one of our definitions where we use undo is inverse. That's one of our famous definitions for inverse. How do you undo anything? You do the inverse. Well, how do you undo sine? What you're going to do is you're going to take the inverse sine. So I'm going to be left with my mystery angle is actually going to be the inverse sine of 7/9. How do you undo sine? You're going to do the inverse. All right, decimals time. So once again, firing up my test mode. So here's my decimals. I'm just going to double check, make sure I'm in degree mode, which I am. So now I need to type in inverse sine. We're going back to funcs. There's your inverses. You probably noticed those last time. And I'm going to do 7 divided by 9. All right, so I know for a fact that on these practice problems, we are going to be rounding out to the nearest hundredth. So again, I'm looking for those 2 decimal places, make it look like money. So if I were thinking about that in terms of this angle, looking at the third number is a 7. So does that mean that this is going to stay 0.05? Or is that next number going to have push power and that's going to bump that up to 51.06? That 7 is 5 or above. So that means that for my angle, I know that that's going to be 51.06 degrees. And this is going to be what you would be typing in to that Khan Academy. They're already going to have the degrees there for you, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, let's do another one. So let's look at, again, I'm going to do my kind of basic right triangles because I feel a little bit basic about geometry things. Okay, and because the dog is running around here, let's call this DOG, making me insane. There's my right angle. So let's say that we know this little teeny tiny little piece is a 2. And maybe this longer piece is, I don't know, I'm looking at it, maybe a 6. All right, and this time, I don't think we've done any of these yet. Let's look for angle D. So here's the angle I'm going to mark. I'm not going to give it any fancy letter. I'm just going to call it angle D. So if we're missing angle D, that means here's where my eyeball has to go. All right, well, what pieces do I have? All the way. Okay, so this one is going to be all the way across. There's my opposite. And that 6 is right next to that angle. They are sitting adjacent to each other. So there's my A. Okay, so for the first time here in all my various examples, we don't have a hypotenuse, which means we are not looking at sine. We are not looking at cosine. Now I'm stuck with my tangent. No big deal. All right, so here we go. Now we're going to set it up. Tangent of my angle. Wait, I don't know my angle. If I don't know my angle, there's going to be D. Tangent of D is equal to opposite. So I'm looking at my opposite goes on top, divided by adjacent. So opposite is 2. Adjacent is 6. All right, what don't I know? I do not know what that angle is, which means what do I need to undo? I need to undo the entire tangent. Well, how do I undo an entire tangent? Inverse tangent. So D is going to be equal to the inverse tangent of 2 divided by 6. Decimals time. Get that sign out of there. So I'm going funcs. Inverse tangent. Put over a little bit. Of 2 divided by 6. Okay, so I'm looking at a much smaller angle this time, an 18-degree angle. I'm going to round out to the nearest hundredth, so I'm going out 2 places. There's that 3. Now look at the thousandth spot. Is that 4 going to bump the 3 up or keep it a 3? It's just going to keep it a 3. So I know that angle D is going to be 18.43, if I'm throwing it in there, degrees. Now, if I look at these two triangles, it makes a lot of sense to me. Look at that first one. You got to make sense of your situation here. This angle, 51 degrees, is way bigger than 18. But look at the sides. 7 and 9 are very similar to each other, which means that that 7 is going to create a much bigger angle. Whereas look at this guy. This little one here, that's a tiny little side, which means that's going to be a tiny little angle. So that actually does make sense in my spatial reasoning brain as I'm taking a look at this. Okay, you guys are now set for practice problem 3, which is going to be in your accounts. So if I'm looking at Khan Academy here, wherever I put it, there's my Khan Academy. I'm going to be looking for solving for an angle, which is going to be, I'm back in my trig section. Okay, so remember, we already did ratios. We already did side. Now I'm looking at angle. So there's my first one. There's my second one. Now I'm going right here, solving for an angle in right triangles. So you've got a notes sheet and then some practice problems. All right, good luck. Have fun. I just wanted you to know that the dog is still looking at the squirrels. Bye, guys.